Bianca?
Yep.
Okay. So,
We're live.
okay. Hi, everyone. This is Maria from the Face Yoga Method, and I'm here with Bianca. So we've just started this webinar. So I just want to make sure that you guys can all hear me okay and see the screen, the welcome screen. So you should have a chat box, and if you can just write in that everything's okay and you can see and hear me in your chat box, that would be great. And I'm gonna hang tight and get word from Bianca on this before I start. So Bianca, if you want to let me know if that's all happening, you're getting that response.
Check. Yes. All is good.
Okay, perfect. So first of all, we're so excited. Both Bianca and I are here to teach you guys marketing and to work with you on this whole journey. And I'm super excited because I never get to interact with you guys in this way since Fumiko is your face yoga teacher. And I know that Bianca is as well. And we've been reading and interacting with you guys via the Facebook group, all your comments, and getting a really good sense of where everybody is in terms of the marketing journey. And it looks like most of you are beginners, which is awesome because we're going to work with you this whole way through for the next 4 months. And we're going to be here to support you, to help you get your websites done if you don't have a website yet from the ground up, and then to help you get out there marketing your business. So by the time you're certified from Fumiko in the spring, you guys are going to be ready to roll. And after looking at all the responses from everybody in terms of their experience with marketing, we're mapping out how we're going to do this. And what we've realized is the best way to do it is most likely week by week with you. We might do it, maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe once a week. But what we're doing is we're taking the marketing aspect of this and we're breaking it down into bite-sized chunks so that we can start at the beginning and give you guys tasks to do over the next week, and then meet with you the next week and answer questions in between and keep you going, but without getting into an overwhelm mode. Because what we want more than anything is for you guys to be able to have this complete at the end and not sit there and pull your hair out like, how do I get this whole thing marketed, or how do I get a website done, and just feeling overwhelmed and having to go through a bunch of modules by yourself. Because I know when it comes to the technical part of things, people get super overwhelmed, they get super frustrated, and it stops them from moving forward. And I don't want any of that to happen to you guys, and it's not going to if you can just follow what we do step by step. And we're here for you in the Facebook group. So even when this webinar is over, you're going to have access to review it in the marketing module. And we're going to continue to we'll put up all the future webinars we do with you guys in there for review, but we're also going to continue to put up little bite-sized 5 to 10 minute videos on marketing things that you can do. But I want everything to be super actionable and really easily understandable for you so that you do not let this stop you from moving ahead. Because just a quick little background for those of you that aren't familiar on both Bianca and myself. I consulted in online marketing for the past 7 years. So I've done everything from social media to website design, user interface, search engine optimization, ad buying, setting up funnels, everything, email marketing, all of that stuff. And I've worked with many, many small local clients. So I know exactly what it is that you guys are going to need to get going in this respect. And Bianca has been working with us for almost the past 3 years, and she knows all of the marketing things that I just mentioned inside and out. And she is an expert in many technical things, so you can ask questions to her. as well as Facebook ads. So when we get to that point in our marketing, which will be more towards the couple months down the line, she's going to be here to help you guys get your Facebook ads up and running so you can get in local clients if that's something you choose to do. And she's an expert at that. So you've got some really strong people behind you, so don't hesitate to ask us questions, and we really appreciate it if you ask it in the Facebook group so that everybody else in there can benefit from the learning. And then what we'll do is we'll take all those questions and compile them and make a list of facts so that you guys can have access to that as well. So what I want to go over today is a couple things. One, we're going to talk about domains, and two, we're going to talk about getting your website built and branded. Now, for those of you that already have a website, that already have a domain, I want you to hang with us if you can, because I think you're going to learn something. But from what I can tell, many of you do not already have that. So this is going to be great for you, and you're going to do it right from the beginning. So this is a live webinar, and I have my dog that I have to let in for 1 second. I'll be right back. It's only going to take me 1 second. Okay, I'm back. All right, so let's get started. So we're going to start out with a big basic, which is domain buying, because I hear these questions, or I heard these questions when I was consulting a lot, really simplistic things that people did not understand about the basics of a website. And what I want to do is get you guys to a point where you understand all this stuff so that when you're out there and you've got your website up and you want to make changes in the future, or you want to add some new photos or a new page, that you don't feel stuck, or you don't feel at the mercy of some web developer that is going to charge you, $50 to $100 for every change he makes. That's not the way we're going to set this up. We're going to set it up so you completely understand everything, and that you can do it yourself if you want. And if you don't want, which I completely understand, and I really want you to focus on, growing your face yoga business and teaching people, I'm going to teach you how to outsource the basics of this so that you can get it done really cost effectively and quickly. So let's get started. Let's start with domain buying. So one question I've heard recently, and I think it's good to clarify this, is what was the difference between a domain and a website? Now, I'm sure many of you know this, and if you don't, I'm going to just quickly tell you. A domain is just the name of your website. So ours is faceyogamethod.com. That's our domain name. So that's it. That's a different entity than the actual website. It is a domain name, and it can be owned by, or it could be registered with any domain registration company. A big one is GoDaddy. There's so many, and there's a lot of these places that where they have easy to do website platforms for you, like Squarespace or Wix. And they have domain registration as well. And so you can register a domain there. So when you do that, all you do is you go to one of these places and you pick out the domain you want, you type it in, and I'm going to show you this, and you see if it's available. And if it is, then you buy it. And regardless of where you buy your domain, you can still build your website anywhere else. It doesn't matter, because a lot of people will go to Squarespace and they'll think, oh gosh, I have to get my domain here. You don't. And in fact, you can get it a lot cheaper somewhere else. So I just want to go through where a good place to buy it and give you ballpark prices, because the prices for domains, they're not expensive. On average, they're about $10 a year. People like Squarespace will charge you $20 a year. You don't need to have your domain at the same place that you have your website. So let me look at my next slide here. And hold on. Okay, I just did our introductions. Okay, so let's look at domain names for a minute. I'm going to bring over my screen, And I'm bringing up Namecheap. Now, Namecheap is a place that I like to buy domains because they are exactly what they say they are. They're cheap, meaning that they're about $8.99 for domain. And look at this. It says you can start 2017 with 88 cents domains. Now, I'm sure there's a couple restrictions on that, but I like it because it's cheap, it's easy, all that kind of stuff. So if you already have your domain registered somewhere, and I know many of you do, don't worry about it. It's totally fine wherever your domain is. You can always change registrars, but that ends up, some people get very confused by that. So let's say that I bought my domain with another service, with GoDaddy or with Squarespace or whatever a year ago. Could I change it to Namecheap? I could. And it's not that hard. And many places will actually change it for you. But if you've already got your website up and going and all that kind of stuff, I would just leave it because you're not talking about that much money. So I like Namecheap. We're going to give you all the links for all this stuff at the end. We'll send you an email with them. So don't worry about that. But let's talk about what to get, what to name your website. What domain name do you want? Now, I know some of you have sites, and I know some of you are thinking of either combining your Face Yoga site with the current site you have or creating a separate site. I think it's best to have a separate site because I think you should stay focused on one thing. Depending upon what your other site's about, it might be a good fit, but for the most part, and sites are so easy and simple and cheap to get up these days, I would probably do a separate one. So then it comes down to, what domain name do you want for your Face Yoga practice? So there's a couple things you want to keep in mind. First thing is, keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate this, and don't try to be cute with this. You want something that's either your name or something that tells exactly what you do. So for example, if your name is Jane Smith, I would get janesmith.com, except for that's not going to be available because it's too common. So we'll talk about that. And I would do the most common ending, a .com, as opposed to, I know there's all kinds of website endings out there, .me, .co, all that kind of stuff. Stick with the .com if you can. And so let's say, does anybody, okay, I want to stop here for a minute and ask, is anybody here thinking about a domain name and they want to know if it's a good domain name, or they want to get their name? I highly recommend your name, like the janesmith.com, but I'd love for you guys to put in the chat box, and then Bianca's going to give me one or two of those if you do. The domain name that you're thinking of or that you might want to get, and if you want to know if it's a good one. And then I'm going to show you how I would look that up. And if it's not available, then we're going to think of an alternative. So if anybody wants to write that into the chat box, I will be happy to review that. And if no one writes in, I'm waiting for feedback. Okay. Okay, so I'm getting from Bianca, is this alias, ALIAS, faceyoga.com? Is that what that is? I want to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Alias Face Yoga. Okay. So let's put that in. Now, I don't know, is your name, if alias, if you mean like an alias, or if it's doing it because somebody has a name that's maybe like that, maybe that's a first name that I'm not pronouncing well, in which case I apologize. Oh, Aaliyah, got it. Okay, Aaliyah's Face Yoga, perfect. Sorry. So Aaliyah, perfect. So I just put it into Namecheap, and you can see it is available. Aaliyah's Face Yoga. Yes, you can absolutely do that, and I do think that is a really good. That's a good name. It's a good alternative to, if they don't have, I don't know what your last name is, but if they don't have your full domain name, and having Face Yoga in there tells exactly what you do. The domain name is available. So if you were going to register this one, all you would do would be adding it to the cart. And then, you know, if we add it to the cart, and don't worry, I won't buy this, so you can go buy this after. And then you would just view your cart. And once you go into actually buying this, I'm pretty sure, here's a little tip, that they will have a discount code space on Namecheap. And all you have to do is Google Namecheap discount codes. Because if you're a first time buyer there, then they will give you a code and you'll be able to get this for some kind of a discount. So, okay, now I'm getting another one. Okay, I got a couple more coming in. So let's think about it. I have one that says they're thinking about CalgaryFaceYoga.com. I like that. I like that. It totally tells where it is. And it's got face yoga in the name. Let's see. And I'm sure that's available. Let's look it up. Yep, that's available. I really like that. And obviously you're going to be marketing in Calgary. Everybody there will know how to spell Calgary and face yoga. And it's very memorable. What I like about that too is that if you're out and about and you're telling someone about your business and you don't have a card or a pen or whatever, and they want to know your website, you're just like, oh, it's Calgary Face Yoga. So they're not going to forget that. And they're not going to be confused on how to spell it. Those are things you want to think about. So I think that's a great name. I would definitely do that. I like it. And then I have another one, Face Yoga Luxembourg. I would say the exact same things that I just said about Calgary. You're just putting it in a different order. So let's try that. I'm sure it's available. The great thing for you guys is most of your domain names are going to be available because face yoga is such a unusual thing for people to be practicing on a local level, which is you guys are the first ones. So it's super exciting. So yes, I like Face Yoga Luxembourg. You know, or reverse it like Calgary did, whichever one you like. I like both of those. I think those are great names, having the location where you are. Okay, then we have, okay, Brooke asked the same question. Yep, your location with Face Yoga, I think is fantastic. Okay, I'm seeing one in here, Karina. Your name, I'm sorry if I say it wrong. I think it's Karina Renova. Okay, I do think you've got a more complicated name like me. My last name is Calancini, so it's got and I still do have the domain name of my full name. I like it. I like your name. And depending upon where you are, the only thing you want to think of is if you were to tell that to someone, you know, you might have to write it down for them to remember the spelling. And maybe you're in an area where that's common name or common spelling, so people are more familiar with it. But I do like having your whole name as a domain name. I think that is a really good domain to own regardless. But you could also do Karina Face Yoga, or you could do the city, depending upon where you are. So I like it. I like Nantucket. Okay, I see one here. It's Irene Ing 811faceyoga.com. I'm not crazy about that, Irene. I think it would definitely be available for sure. I'm not sure what the 811 is, if it's an area code. To me, when I look at this, I'm just going to put it in here so you guys can see what it looks like. And I'm not trying to pick on you, Irene. This is why you're here, so you can get our help. I think you can do better. Oh, it's Yoga Face. Okay, when I look at that, the first part with the numbers and the letters, and people might not be sure that that's a name at the beginning, it kind of looks like, I don't know, it looks like one of those long URLs that you see on the internet that you're like, wait, what is that? That one would be very hard for people to remember with the numbers like that. I would do Irene Face Yoga, and you're doing Yoga Face, you're changing around the words. I'm not sure if that has special meaning for you. I would do Face Yoga, Irene. I think that is much easier, much more memorable, and it helps with your branding, because your branding really is Face Yoga as opposed to Yoga Face, and you want to keep that as consistent as you can. That's what I say to that, Irene. I would change that for sure. And then face yoga project someone has. I like that. I think that's great. Let's see if that's available for you. And I'm sure you guys are all super respectful and you're seeing everybody else's idea, but you're only going to buy the ones that you know are yours, right? Okay, perfect. I like it. It's available. And then Face Yoga DC. That's awesome. Super easy to remember, short and simple. So
I would add one more thing.
yes.
Always go for .com.
Yes, that's what, okay, so.
That's info, it's not worth it. Always go for .com. And if it's not available, just find a different order or just pick, different, come up with different domain ideas so that you can buy .com.
Yep. So that's what I said at the beginning there. That was Bianca reiterating how important it is to get a .com. Don't get the .info or anything like that. And it looks like all the ones that I just searched for you guys, they're all available. So you guys are all good. Okay, Brooke said, what do you think of splitting my website with her, that's her name, and having an intro page where a visitor would pick either massage or face yoga? I do think that's good. As long as the website, the visuals and everything are set up well, and it's very simple, I definitely think you can do that. I don't mind that at all because these things are somewhat connected. And then before we move on, Irene says, can you suggest one for me? Definitely, Irene. So I would do, I don't know what city you're in, and I'm not sure why you picked 811 if there was a special meaning for that, but I would just do Irene Face Yoga. And I'm quite sure you're going to be able to find that. Let's make sure you can't. There it is. You can definitely get that. So I think that that's great. And if you are in a particular city that you are going to, set up your practice in, you could do that as well. But Irene Face Yoga works. And okay, then Ellen, how about using a state? Okay, for like MN for Minnesota, MN Face Yoga. No, I like that. Ellen, I think that definitely works. MN, because anybody that you're talking to is obviously going to be in Minnesota and they'll know what their state's abbreviation is. You could also do Face Yoga MN. I kind of like better because then people are reading what it's about first. And it's also better for the search engines. Whoops. To have that for Face Yoga MN. I like that better. I like it better with the abbreviation, the state abbreviation after, as opposed to before. And then we have one more, refreshyourfacenaturally.com. Yeah, let's look that up for you. Veronica, let's see, refresh your face naturally. Yeah, you could definitely do that because people can remember that phrase. Yep. You can do that and it's available. I like it. And then aboutfaceyoga.com. Okay, this will be the last one and then okay, so this is for you about, I'm sure it's, yeah, you could do this. Face yoga. It's not my favorite. I think I would rather see Karina Face Yoga or something that's more individual to you. That's more personalized to you and to your practice. About almost sounds like you're at one of those about educational pages on the website that, on the internet that sometimes have a spammy feel. Not that your site would have a spammy feel, but I don't love About Face Yoga. I like Karina Face Yoga much better. So there you go on that one.
I have a couple of other people writing in, but we have to move forward. Right.
That what?
We have people writing in the chat box with ideas for domains, but I don't think there's enough time to go for all of these.
Okay, so what we're going to do then with that, for the people that we didn't get, because we've got quite a few things to go through, and we definitely want to help you all out. So anybody that we did not get to on your domain name, put it in the Facebook group, and I promise that either Bianca or I will chime in and give you some feedback on that. Okay? All right. So that is how you pick a domain, and that is how you register it. And remember, if you're registered somewhere else right now, don't worry about it. Namecheap is just super cheap. I recently had a friend that bought theirs through Squarespace, and it was $20 a year, and I'm like, I probably wouldn't pay more than 7 or 8 a year, but it's not going to kill you. And it's probably not worth the $7 or $8 to try to register, move it somewhere else for most of you. So
the pricing also depends on how long you're buying the domain for. So if you're buying it for 1 year, then it's $10. If you buy it for 2 years, then it just gets increasingly cheaper, depending upon how long you're buying the domain for.
yes, very good point. I hope you guys got that. When you go to register, it's going to say, do you want to register it for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? I'll usually register for at least a couple years, and I think you guys should too, because you're going to have a long-lasting face yoga business. So save yourself some money and just register for the next 3 to 5 years. Okay, so let's move on to the websites. Now, this is where everybody gets just stumped, because I'm guessing that most of you did not build your own website. I know that there's 1 or 2 of you that mentioned they were lucky enough to have either a husband or a friend build them a website and work on the website, which is fantastic if you have somebody like that. But I know a lot of you do not. And I don't want the website to overwhelm you. What I want to do is break down some website basics for you, and then help you make a decision, if you don't already have a website yet, on how to get started to get one built. And if you already have one, you may or may not want to change it. But let's get going on this, and then you're going to see, and you're going to have questions as we go along. So the reason we're starting with the domain and the websites is because you don't want to market until you have a nice website. Nothing fancy, just a website that is really nice, clean, and informative. Because I think of it like this: your website's like your home. So imagine going out and inviting a bunch of people that you meet to a party, but you have nowhere to send them. you have no home. So where is this party going to gather? And a website is like that. When you go out and you start approaching your local gyms or your local community centers and tell them you want to teach face yoga class, one of the very first things that people are going to ask you is, oh, do you have a website? Because they're going to want to go check it out on their own afterwards, like we all do. We do our research. It's the first thing we do. We just go look at it. We want to do it on our own time, and you need to have that website. And if you were inviting people to your house, you don't want them to come over to a messy, disorganized house that does not represent you. You want something clean, organized, that people feel really good in. So when you're making your website, think about that. Like, would a visitor like this? Think about what you like on a website. We're going to talk about the design and the branding of it, and then what is necessary for you guys to put on a website. And most importantly, we're going to talk about how you're going to get this built really easily, quickly, and cost effectively. So people get very overwhelmed. I've seen it over and over and over again, because every time they build a website, they get all kinds of crazy quotes. I mean, I just recently heard quotes. I've been hearing quotes for the past 7 years, from anywhere from $3,000. I've heard easily up to $100,000 for more complex websites. Well, I'm going to wipe all of that off the table for you guys right now, because websites, it's like the Wild West right now, and developers can pretty much tell you anything they want to get a website built. And because you don't know what it entails, you're kind of at their mercy. I always compare it to me going to a car mechanic. I don't know anything about cars, but I trust my mechanic, thank God. So if I go to my mechanic and he says, Maria, you need to get A, B, and C fixed, and it's going to cost you this much, all I can say is, okay, because I can't ask him, anything about the inside of the car and say, oh, really? Why does that cost this much? Or why does that have to be fixed? Because I don't know. I am not familiar with the inside of an engine at all. I just have to trust him. And I think that's how a lot of people feel about websites. It's like, oh my God, I know nothing about this. I don't know about coding. I don't know HTML. I don't know any of that stuff. So I guess I just have to, trust whoever I'm working with. And can I trust them? And I want to get past that for you today because it's not as hard as you think it is. We've moved, technology has advanced so much, and we've moved past the days of HTML coding, which is when coders used to individually code every single website. And that was definitely long and complicated and expensive. Well, now we've moved into an era where they have all of this coding pre-done for you. And it's called content management systems, so CMS. So if somebody asks you what CMS you're using, it would just be like, what simple platform is your website built on? And when you're on a content management system, it means that it's set up in such a way that on the back end, you can easily navigate it yourself if you so desire, and you can make the changes that you want, such as putting in a new page, changing your calendar of events, or putting in a new photo, or changing your about page without having to call some developer to do some coding for you. So let's talk about a couple platform options. I wanted to, before I get into what I think you should actually have on your website. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is do not build your site out on one of those freebie places like blogger.com. I know there's a lot of those out there where they're like, make a free website. And, it's very tempting. And bloggers did start out on that, over 10 years ago, and some are still on it because it's easy, it's fast, and it would be things like blogger.myfaceyoga.com. So you get this kind of longer, complicated domain, and you can build out a website there. And it's not that the ability that you have to build the website is so terrible. A lot of those places have come a long way, and you have really nice looking pages on them. The problem is when you're using that freebie stuff like that, ultimately, you do not own your own website. And I do not want that for you. I want you to own your own website and have control over it 100%. So if blogger.com goes out of business, if they change their terms of service, if they disappear, your website's gone. And all your content and your hard work and the domain that all these people were coming to visit you, it's gone. So this is not the place to cheap out and think, oh, I'm going to save a couple bucks by doing it on that. So please, that's a big no. Don't do it. Okay, I put in email setup here before I get into the platforms, because another thing I want to address that I see all the time is when people buy their domains and they start getting their website set up, they want a branded email, right? Like my name @mydomain.com. So it's like Maria@faceyogamethod.com. And then they get these outrageous fees, at least in my opinion, outrageous, from the company that they bought their domain from, for, you can have 2 emails a year for $20 or $30 a year and da-da-da-da-da. You don't have, that's not necessary. Once you own your domain name and you get a website set up with hosting, you should be able to set up your emails for free. And if you don't know how to do that, don't worry. I'm going to show you how you can get someone to do that for you very cost ineffectively. But these are not things that you should be paying a yearly fee on. And Bianca might even be able to guide some of you in the right direction, depending upon what platform you're on. Do you have anything to say about that subject, Bianca, before I move on?
Oh, most definitely. It depends on the hosting that you're going with, but you can set it up on your own. It's very, very simple. It's very simple, and we can get to that. I mean, it's more complicated to explain it right now, but we can definitely set it up on our own.
Okay.
Again, it depends on the hosting, but it's not at all complicated. I know other people make it sound like this monster with, but in essence, it's just to get you to buy it, buy their service, but it's not at all complicated.
Okay. Yeah. So don't do that. I know when you go and you sign up for hosting and you're buying the first time you buy a domain name, wherever you buy it from, they put all these bells and whistles and they want to sell you A, B, C, D, E with it. You know, do you want this security protection? Do you want SEO? Do you want a domain name? Do not buy that stuff. Do not, do not, do not. I'm going to show you how you can do first of all, most of those services, I hate to say it, with their SEO and everything else, their search engine, are just complete BS, for lack of a better word, and they will do nothing for you. And the email, it's just a ripoff. Personally, you don't have to pay every year for them to do your email. So just get your domain name. Okay, so let's move on to the possible platforms you can use. Okay, so website costs and how you build it out, like I said, there can be a huge range of how this works. And it's often going to depend on the platform. And by the platform, I mean like the CMS I was just talking about. Now, some of you are familiar with WordPress, for example. So our site is built on WordPress. WordPress is probably the biggest website platform out there in the world. And it's free software that you install on your hosting account, which we'll talk about in a minute. You put on your hosting account and then you configure it the way you want. And WordPress is fantastic because you can twist it and turn it and mold it and make your website look however you want. And they've got tons of free templates and tons of free plugins that can do all kinds of fancy things for you. But I don't want you to get overwhelmed with fancy things right now. Our goal, you guys really are looking to create what we call a brochure website, which is it's like your online brochure. So people can read about your business and see what it's all about. You're not trying to sell physical goods on there or anything like that. So it doesn't have to be super fancy. It doesn't have to have all these bells and whistles. It just has to be more of a brochure website. WordPress can do all that stuff I just talked about, and most of these can. But WordPress, although technically it's very simple, if you're not familiar and you're not tech-oriented at all, you might not like the back end. It might look confusing and overwhelming, and there's a little bit of a learning curve. And so we're going to talk about that as a choice or not a choice. I love WordPress for many, many, many reasons, and I think you can get a very simple site built out on that. And if you were to spend an hour or two once your site is built, you could easily learn, and we can even do some teaching modules for you guys if enough of you want them on WordPress, how to do simple things like go in and change your photos, put in a new post or put in a new page or whatever that is. You don't even have to build the website. I'm going to show you how you can get this website built for super cheap. So WordPress is a platform that I really like. I want to show you, before I go too into hosting, I want to show you the other platforms. Because updates, this is something, I feel so strongly about this. It's really important that you guys are able to do these, at least the simple ones yourself, or have somebody that you can call on easily, quickly, and inexpensively to do them. Because I see too many people that are afraid to update their website because they, A, don't know how to do it, or B, they don't want to spend the money because they have some developer who says, okay, I'm going to charge you, $100 an hour just to go in and put in new pictures. And you're like, well, I only need one picture and it's only probably going to take you 5 minutes, but I guess that's the way it is. This is not what you have to do at all. There are so many better ways to do this. But the most important thing is I want you to understand how it works. So when you want updates, you're not afraid of them and you can plow forward and get them done. So let's look, before we go into hosting, and I'll recommend a hosting company to you guys. Let's look at, okay, here's my pages. I want to look at the platforms before we go into design. Okay, so let's look at choosing a website platform. Budget and experience will come into play here. So how experienced and how comfortable are you? And then the simplicity in the future use. By this, I mean, where will your focus be? Will you be doing the updates? And you might think in your head right now, nope, I'm never going to touch the back end. But by the time we're done with this, you might think, okay, maybe I can do that. That's not so bad. So let's go over a couple of the platforms. So WordPress, I just spoke about. It's the most widely used. It's a little more complicated when you first get in there to do the original setup, but you can have that done for you. Squarespace and Wix are two other options that I want to throw out there because I know some of you are already using. I know somebody's using Wix, and I think we have someone on Squarespace. These are options that are all in one, semi-done, if you will. How they're different from WordPress is that with WordPress, you have to go out and get the hosting. The hosting just means where do your files live so that other people can access them. So no matter what website you have to have, you've got to have hosting. So if you decide to do WordPress, you are going to have to sign up for a hosting account. Hosting accounts, once again, fairly inexpensive depending upon where you get them. I mean, there's hosting accounts that go from, literally a couple dollars a month to far more than that, depending on your needs. For most of your guys' needs for a simple brochure website, I'm going to say, no more than 10 to 15 a month, and you could probably do it for less. I recommend HostGator, which I will put the links for this in the email we send you. And the reason I recommend HostGator is just because they have 24/7 support. They're here in the US and they speak, and even if you're not in the US, they've still got the 24/7 support on the phone. They're very responsive. They're big, so they've got a big team. They're very responsive. And I've used them many, many, many times for different websites. And one thing I really loved about them is that their support, I was very unfamiliar with the back end of websites when I first started out. And I would call up and I would ask the most ridiculous questions, probably in their point of view, or I would ask them to do things which technically they didn't have to do. They were not my web developer, and they did them for me. They were awesome. And so that's why I recommend them. And they're very inexpensive, and you can easily get WordPress installed on them. And we can even do a video for that. If you guys decide you want to use HostGator, we can do a quick little video showing you how you install a WordPress account on there. HostGator will try and sell you those services as well. I think they even charge like up to $100 to install WordPress on your account. Don't do that. We're going to show you how to do that if that's what you choose. So the difference between something like WordPress and Squarespace and Wix is that Squarespace and Wix, let me see if I can open up Squarespace, is that they are Squarespace and Wix are kind of done for you. They already have the hostings included with them. There's benefits to these, and then there's pros and there's cons. And you can get beautiful websites. They've got really great templates that are very easy to use. You still got to configure the back end, but it's easier than say WordPress. So the thing is, when you go here to Squarespace, let's see if I can get, I'm trying to see if I can get their pricing up. Squarespace, anything you buy from them includes the hosting. So you do not have to buy separate hosting, but they're going to have a monthly fee that is a little more hefty. They're going to have a monthly fee of about, I believe, they're not showing it to me because they want me to start a free trial. They often do that, and they'll give you your free trial. Let's see if I can find it. There's got to be pricing on here. They're going to have a monthly fee that's probably anywhere from $15 to $20 because they include the hosting. And once you build out a site on Squarespace, you're not going to want to move it because
Maria, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So squarespace.com/pricing.
Pricing. Perfect. Okay. Thank you. So let's go look at their pricing. You're not going to want to move it. You're in a way that it's almost like Squarespace owns your site. You can never leave them because and that's not necessarily a bad thing if you want a simple, straightforward site that you don't have to mess around with too much. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just want you to be aware of this. So here you go. So personal, they're $12 per month if they're paid annually, or $16 if you pay month to month. And you get a beautiful, simple website, mobile optimized. That's very important. They have 24/7 customer support. They can do e-commerce. I don't think you guys are looking at that right now, but it's not bad. I think Squarespace is a good option for many, many, many people. And even though it's a little bit to configure on the back end, I'm going to show you how you can get that done easily and quickly. And Wix is very similar to Squarespace. It's built-in hosting, and they've got all these pre-made templates, and you can choose from the templates, and then you've got to configure them to exactly what you want. So you can go somewhere like here, you can see their templates. Here's, the different categories. There's online stores, there's art and design. Maybe you could look at creative services or fashion and beauty, health and fitness. And then you look at these templates and, you click on one. Let's go to health and fitness just because that's what we're in. And here's a yoga one. Let's just look at this for a minute. So you could just click on a template and you could see what this template looks like. Now I will say this is that they're not giving me much. Oh, here we go. So this is an Ohm template, and this is just their demo for it. So you'd have your logo here. You'd have, change the navigation bar to what you want there. And you could have a large picture here, or it doesn't have to be so large. It could be smaller. Classes, you could have a calendar here. I mean, it's a nice, simple website. It's quite nice looking. It's very appealing. And that's the kind of template you can get on Squarespace. And Wix has similar things. The pricing is really, really reasonable. So those are kind of your options. I don't think you guys need anything more than one of these options, from WordPress to Squarespace or Wix. So, or if you're already on something different, that's fine. What you definitely do not want is a site that is coded from scratch in HTML. I don't even know how you would get into that. I mean, hopefully none of you are stuck in that situation, but you do not want that. You want something like one of these services. And they're all really good. And what I want to say about this though, so once you pick one of these, and Squarespace and Wix are automatically mobile ready. And if you have WordPress, it's definitely very easy to get that mobile ready. That's super, super important. So what I want to do right now, before I go into the necessary things that you should have on your website, is I want to show you this fantastic way where if you decide, no matter which one you decide, or if you already have a website, how you can get someone to help you build out and customize this website for you very effectively, but inexpensively. And I've done this before, and it's fantastic because I did I was doing a demo site on Squarespace recently, and I went into the back end. And although I know my way around the back end of WordPress and a lot of other things pretty decently, Squarespace, it wasn't that hard, but I really did not have the headspace to want to deal with it. I was just like, I don't want to spend time on this. I have other more important things to do. Other things where I'm more, that are going to make me more money and are going to be a better use of my time. I'd rather be marketing than doing this. So what I did is I outsourced it to someone and had it done super inexpensively, and they did a fantastic job. And I'm going to show you right now how I found that person. So I went to a site called Fiverr. Now, I don't know.
1 second, please.
Yes.
Before you go to Fiverr, one thought on WordPress, but I do want to add. WordPress comes with templates that that are free. I think you get like 3 or 4 templates that WordPress gives you, because you're choosing their platform. And those are pretty, it's not difficult to set up in the sense to organize your pages and add your photos and do all of that. But it depends. But the template that you decide afterwards to get for WordPress comes with certain page builders. So Squarespace, I don't know how the backend looks like. But Squarespace, in a sense, is a page builder. So it will help you build up your page. But depending upon the theme that you choose, if you decide to go with WordPress, we can recommend different templates, but different templates come with different page builders. And I've worked with over 40 or 50 different templates, and I found a specific template that comes with a very, very, very easy page builder, which means that you would just have to drag and drop your elements, text, image. You just drag and drop, add your picture. So it depends a lot on the template that you use afterwards. Okay, so we can recommend a couple. But if you do decide to go with WordPress, the page building aspect of the site does not have to be that complicated. Okay, it's very, and perhaps even more easy than Squarespace to set up.
Okay. Okay, perfect. And you can probably even do a little, depending upon what you guys need, we're going to wait for feedback on this. Bianca can do a little tutorial video for you guys in the marketing module as well.
For sure. If you go with WordPress, I can recommend different templates. And some of them come with page builders that are harder to use than others. But I found one that the teacher certification site is actually built with that particular template. And it is very, very, very easy to use. So don't get overwhelmed by WordPress and how difficult it might be to set up. It depends a lot on the template, and we can recommend a couple that are very easy.
Okay, perfect.
That's all I had to say.
Okay, and this site that I'm going to show you now, you can find someone to modify anything for you, and I'm going to talk about how you're going to communicate to the person, how you're going to find the person, what you're going to pay them, everything. So this site is called Fiverr that I have up. And it's a fantastic site if you know how to use it. And I've used it for many, many things. And so what it is, I mean, it was originally called Fiverr because the idea is that you can get anybody to do these crazy things for $5. And it ends up costing more than that, depending upon what you want, but you can definitely find what you need. So for example, let's say that I decided I wanted to get my website after listening to this made on Squarespace. I'm like, I want a simple site. I know what I want on it, but I don't want to go on the back end and configure it. This is what you would do. You would come to Fiverr and you would put in Squarespace, just like it already came up in their search. And then I would hit find services. And I am going to look for somebody. Okay, this person starts at 400. I think you can get it better than that. He's got 31 5-star reviews because I've had this done. So let's look. This person has 17 5-star reviews. Now we're going to look at them and see. They start at 100 for creating or redesigning a Squarespace website. Now I think that's a great price to have somebody do this for you. Okay, let me sign into Fiverr. They're not going to let me see that. Now you guys notice I'm using LastPass to sign in there. I hope you all got LastPass. See how easy that was? I didn't have to remember any passwords or anything like that. And if you don't know what it is, go look in the Facebook group, and we'll also put a list of recommended things like LastPass and Jing into the marketing module. Okay, so now I'm checking out this guy on Squarespace. I think this is for Squarespace. This is him. He's got 17 5-star reviews, which you can read. We'll look at those. He's got 2 orders in his queue right now. He says, here's the order details. It takes him 5 days to deliver this, which is fantastic. He'll do up to 3 revisions for that $100. He will create or redesign your Squarespace website. He'll make a responsive design. He'll do 5 pages. He'll customize it. So sometimes you look at, you look at this and you're like, I want that to have 4 pictures instead of 3. So depending upon if the theme can be customized or not, he'll do all that for you. He'll upload your content, which we'll talk about what you should have for content ready. He'll put in e-commerce functionality, and he'll do that for $100. So you literally, now the great thing about using the site is not only can you see their reviews, see their history, and look at their work, but you pay through Fiverr. So you would order now through Fiverr and pay that $100. Fiverr will not release this money to the worker until the work has been delivered to you and you say that it's okay. So you're not going to really risk anything here, which I love. I mean, of course, you're not going to be a jerk either and try to rip somebody off. But if they do a good job and they're doing it on time and they don't want a bad review. They want a good review. They want to make you happy because they know that their reviews on here are everything. And that's what's going to bring them future business. So first, if you are unsure of someone, so what they do, these guys are that have been on Fiverr for a while and that have a lot of views, a lot of reviews, they know what they're doing and they have learned through experience how to deal with clients and make this whole process much more seamless. So if you come down and they write about this gig, you need to read this because these issues have come up in the past and they're trying to prevent them from coming up. So they say, please note that if you have any type of issue, please message me before ordering. So they don't even want you to buy their service unless you're sure what you're getting into so that you can prevent future problems. So it says, do you want a professional, attractive, business-looking Squarespace website, but you can't find the right look? Are you tense about this? I can create your blog and magazine, online store, cover pages, etc., etc. He goes, I have 5 years of experience on Squarespace. He has extensive knowledge of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Don't worry about that. This is the kind of stuff you guys don't want to know, nor should you know. I will give you 100% support even if the contract is ended. That's very generous and kind. He has 100% positive rating. His average response time is 2 hours. That's fantastic. He's in Bangladesh. And for the most part, you're never actually going to talk to them in person. You're going to be emailing them back and forth. He's online right now, so you could literally hit contact me and ask him a question, and you could send him, say, a screenshot of a site that you like and say, do you think you could do this in Squarespace? Ask him whatever you want, and you're going to get an idea if he might be a good match for you. You can go and read his reviews. Before we read that, I want you to see that there are other gigs. You see how the default gig is the $100 one to get this redesign of it. But if you click this little down button right here, oh, this is interesting. Okay, he didn't add a lot onto it. So he's just saying if you want 2 or 3 or whatever, it's another $100. You could request a custom order if you think yours is going to be more complicated, and he will tell you how much more that may cost you. Let's see, what else does he have on here? If you want it done faster, I think he had a thing on there. If you want it done faster, sometimes, this is 5 days delivery, which should be fine for you guys. You're ahead of the game. But they do have, oftentimes they have add this to the gig for $20. I'll do it faster, whatever. So you can, if you'll want to create an account in Fiverr and do a little bit of research, and then you can save this person or you can favorite them. Oftentimes, if I see somebody that I like, I'll just hit them as a favorite because there's so many people and I want to remember who I liked after reviewing them. Let's look at his reviews. So he's only has 2 other orders, so I think you'd be fine working with someone like him. Here's a review from 2 days ago. This person says outstanding experience, and then the provider is saying Ricky clearly defined the project details, and we're going to talk about that because that is key when you're dealing with one of these people. Is you have to know what you want and you have to know how to communicate it to them, and we're going to walk you through that. This person gave them a 5-star review 5 days ago. This one's 16 days ago. So you can see that these are very, very recent. This isn't some fly-by-night thing. So that's how you would find a person on here. So let's say you decided, and there's so many that do, let's go back to the page that I started with. There's so many that do Squarespace. And I think $100 is a really good price point, somewhere in that range for you guys, for what your needs are going to be to get somebody to modify, create, edit a Squarespace. When I see, the $400 one, I think was too much. I don't think you need to do that. When I see this person starting at $5, I'm a little bit weary. I'm sure that once we click on this, I don't want you guys to get sucked into like this whole, oh, I'm going to get someone for $5. What's probably going to happen with this one is, okay, she's got good reviews, but she may not do the modifications. Let's see. Do you need it? Okay, she's in the United States. She's got 96 positive, 96%. She's a developer. It says, um, she says, do not buy this gig if we have not had a conversation. Yeah, because on the conversation, she's probably going to tell you it's going to add this much more money for what you want to do. And I'm not saying she's bad. Let's look at her. Let me see if she has any more. There's something about this one I'm not loving, just because I've been experienced on here. I feel like she's not the right person. People that really know what they're doing on here, you're going to end up adding like a gig after a gig after a gig. I think you're going to have to look at $50 and up. Okay, this one's starting. Let's look at this person. Okay, so they've got 25, almost 5-star, 4.5. Okay, so this person, I like how they broke down their packages. They're saying for $50, they'll give you a 5-page website within 5 days. For $70, they'll do a 7-page website within 5 days. If you want it in 2 days, you add $40. She has over 1,300 reviews, I should say. She's in Jamaica, 3 hours response time. Yeah, I would go. So this is how I would go through it, like I just told you. And I would ask them any questions that you want in advance. And what I found, because I had someone do this for me very recently on, what platform? Oh, on Shopify for a project that I was working on for an e-commerce thing, which is different. And what I found is I chose someone in the same way that I'm showing you guys how to choose someone right now. I chose someone, and he was great. And what happened is when the gig was done after he'd set it up, is there were still some issues that I had, and I was gladly willing to pay him another $5 or whatever it was to fix these bugs. And so I just wrote him on through Fiverr, and I told him, oh, such and such is an issue, or this bug isn't working. And he was so kind and came in and just did it all for me without charging me. And he's like, I just want a good review. And of course I gave him a good review. So if you find somebody on here that you create a good relationship with, what can happen is this person can become your person for fixes and little things like that. And they're usually happy, especially if they're outside the United States, they're usually happy to do those little wonky things that someone else is going to charge you an arm and a leg for very inexpensively. They might have a $5 gig they can have you buy. And you can even ask them that when you're trying to find someone. Before you hire someone, you could hit contact me and you could say, hey, look, I'm building out a very basic brochure website on Squarespace or Wix or whatever it is. I'd love for you to configure it for me. And in the future, if I have problems, do you have some kind of plan where I can pay you, a nominal fee just to come in and fix things for me? And just see if that person's even open to it. Because if they are, that's even better, since they're the one who built your website. And I found these people to be really fantastic if you vet them properly and communicate well. And so you can also find people in here easily for WordPress in the same way, and have them. Let's just look at a WordPress person. Okay, there's a million people on here, I'm sure, for WordPress. Okay, like this person, I will fix WordPress error, customize a WordPress site. So this is the kind of person you want for those little errors, those little things that you don't want to deal with. I'm not going to spend too much time, because we're already at an hour, going deep into, I think you guys get the gist of how to use this. And, contact them first, read their reviews. If, just make sure that you do your due diligence, and it's really not that hard on a site like Fiverr. They've got it set up for you. What I will say is that I'm going to move on to, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about. I'm going to talk to you. Let me think of the order. Okay, since we're on this subject right now, I want to talk about how you communicate with these people, because this is huge. And if you don't know what you want, they don't know. They're not mind readers. So if you guys remember when you first got in the Facebook group, I told you to get LastPass and to get Jing. And if you don't have those, I really hope that you will get them. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just ask us in the Facebook group, and we'll make sure you get the proper links. They're both free online tools. And LastPass is going to come in very handy when you deal with any of these people, because on LastPass, not only can you save and memorize new passwords and get new passwords created for you, but you're going to have to give access to the back end of your website to these people. And a lot of people are afraid of that. Do not be afraid of that. These people are not here to take down your website or to take you down. They're professionals. They want good reviews and they want you to be happy. And so a lot of people are afraid to give them their password. I wouldn't be too afraid of that. I've given them, when I vet people properly, and, of course, I'm not going to give them the password to my PayPal account, but I'll give them the password to a small website that I'm building, definitely. But what I do is I ask them, do you have LastPass? And many of them do, because they know what they're doing. And if they have LastPass, you can easily share the password access to the back end of your website with your service provider without having to give them the actual password. So if I were to contact this guy and I said, hey, I want you to come into my WordPress site and, make a few changes for me. Do you have LastPass? And hopefully he'd say, yes, I have LastPass. And I'd say, great, I'm going to do a shared access, which we can also, if you guys don't know how to do that on LastPass, don't worry. This is a little video we can make for you. Super, super simple. He would send you his LastPass email and you would share your access to get into the back end of your WordPress site, but he would never see the password. And then when he was done making his changes, you would go into your LastPass and you would disable it so he can no longer get into the back end of your website. Super easy, very safe. So, so there you go for how to use that. And for LastPass. Now I want to talk about communicating with them via Gin. So what happens is you're going to have to tell these people, I want you to create my website. This is what I want it to look like, etc., etc. And the clearer you can be on that, the better their job is going to be and the faster it's going to get done. So what I do always when I do something like this is I find either go to my current website if I'm trying to make changes on it, or I find a website that I really like and I might want to take some elements from it or model it. So what I do is I go to that website, I bring it up in my URL. So let's say it was, let's just say it was this website. Let's pretend this is a real website here. And I really like this, but I thought, oh, I want this image up here to be cut in half because I don't recommend having this large of an image on the homepage, and I don't want to take up that much real estate. So let's say I want it to be horizontally cut in half like that. And then I wanted to have copy right underneath it, et cetera, et cetera. What I would do to communicate this to the person is I would use Jing. Now I put Jing up as the little video tool that I gave you guys. It's a free download, very safe. And I put it in the Facebook group. And it's jingproject.com. So what I would do is I would take Jing and I would make a little video, just like I made a video for you guys in the Facebook group I would bring this up, I would make it in my whole screen, and then I would make a little video and I would talk to the person. I would say, hi, service provider. This is what I would like on my website. I would like something like this website, but I would like my picture that I'm sending you to only be this big, to maybe cut across right here. Right under here, I'd like to have a box that has a picture of me. Right over here, I'd like to have this content that I'm going to send you that talks a little bit about what I do in face yoga. Then I want my navigation bar to start on the left-hand side, or I want my logo to be here and I want my navigation bar to be right here. And this is what I want it to say. So I would make a little video for my service provider and I would be super clear in that video and I would be very concise. And I wouldn't write all this stuff out. I would send the video and then I would send them the Jing video and they would watch the video. And can I tell you that every time I do this, that every single service provider says to me, oh my gosh, thank you so much. You were so clear in what you wanted. This is so helpful to me. This is fantastic. And everybody wins. It is so much faster to sit there and talk out what you want and to show them another website and to show them how you want it modified, as opposed to writing out some long email that's not clear and saying, I want this on the left and this on the right and this in the middle, and they have really no idea what you mean. When you do a Jing video like that, you would be amazed how much time and headache you save everyone. So I use that, 100% use that when you're communicating with them. And what
and money. If you end up paying by the hour, and they end up doing something that you didn't really want, and they'll have to go back and change, and etc. You'll end up paying more because you're paying by the hour.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what you can do, which is really smart, is make a video, just like a generic one. You don't have to address anybody's name, saying, this is what I would like on my website. And then, show the other, what you can move around from website to website, point at the things you want and how you want it. And then you can use that video over and over. So you could send it before you even hire someone. You can send it to someone that you really like on Fiverr. And, you can send it to this person. You could contact him and say, hey, I made you this little video. Here's the link. Please watch it. And if this looks like something you could do in your $100 service or whatever it is, please let me know. And I think I might want to get started with you. And they're going to write you back and say, oh, this looks great. I totally understand what you want. And definitely I can do that for $100. Or they're going to write you back and say, oh, I'm confused. I'm not really sure, or it's going to cost you more, or whatever it is. So I can't even tell you how much time and money and headache you are going to save everyone if you do it like this. So if you have any questions on that, just ask us in the Facebook group. Okay, now we're going to move on to how you can, I know we're covering a lot, but it looks like you guys are hanging with us, and I want to, I hope we can get, I've got only one or two more things I want to get through today, because I don't want your brains to be exploding, and I can never really tell since I can't see your faces. This is all super exciting, and I want this all to be stuff that you can take and run with right away and get started today with your first couple tasks. So let's talk about branding for a minute before I go into the elements for your website. Because when you contact these people, it is really important once they start your job that if you have all your assets, I call them assets, meaning your JPEGs, your logos, the copy for your about page, your content, everything. If you have those all prepared in a little folder to send them, you're going to save everyone time, money, and headache. Because what's going to happen is they're going to go to build your site, and they're going to make a bunch of blank pages if you haven't given them the assets to put in there. And even if you have like placeholder assets, if you've only just started to write your about page, but you want to get going on your website, that's okay. Give them that. You'll be able to go in and put the rest in later. But you need to have your assets together. And one of the most important assets that's going to drive the way everything else goes is your logo. Now, I know some of you don't have logos. I know some of you do. For those of you that do and you love them, fantastic. Stick with it. For those that don't and want something inexpensive and cost effective, where do you think I'm going to direct you? We're going to go to Fiverr again. So I strongly believe in branding and logos. And when you go out to your local community and want to start teaching face yoga classes, we want you to represent well and to be a pro. And you're going to have these gorgeous website and gorgeous cards and everything that just looks totally professional, which is going to up people's confidence in you and what you do. You're not going to have some weird Gmail address and no logo or anything like that, because you guys are pros now. You've invested in this and you are pros. So let's get you a logo if you don't have one. So what I would do is I would come in here and I would look up logo design. Now I've used people in here for logo design, and they have done very, very well, because I used all of the same communication tools that I just gave you with the logo people as well. And it worked fantastic. So I would just put in logo design. Now you can see up here related: business logo design, vintage logo design, graphic design, modern logo, website logo, business. There's so much in here, and it's just about finding your style and the person you like. So I like vintage. Everybody likes something different. Some people like modern. What's important is that it's recognizable and that you feel like it reflects you and that you really love it. that is what's most important. So let's just because I like vintage, let's look at this person because they're vintage. So they've got 455 5-star reviews. They'll do a logo design starting at $5. So let's take a look and see what they have. Okay, so their standard package is $20, unlimited revisions. Okay, where else can you get a logo with unlimited revisions? That's incredible for $20 with a 3-day delivery. So they do a premium. What do you get for the premium? You get 1-day delivery, unlimited revisions. They will give you your source files for this, stationary designs, meaning that they're going to resize it, a social media kit. And I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, but you could ask them, that a social media kit means that they're going to give you your logo and all the different sizes for like a Facebook page or a Twitter page or whatever it is you want to do on social media, which is fantastic because you guys are not here to mess around with Photoshop and change that kind of stuff. That's not the kind of stuff you're going to be spending your time on. You guys are out there marketing your business and teaching face yoga. So this stuff, I want you to outsource. So you can.
I want to add one thing with the logos and the artwork in general, but logos specifically. Make sure, as a general rule of thumb, make sure it looks good in black and white. So that's the first thing you want to look at when designing a logo. Make sure that it looks good in black and white. I'm looking, for example, at this example in Fiverr, Fruit Power. So that will look, well, it won't look terrible, but it won't look great in black and white. Okay, so that's one thing that you want to look for. And finally, always make sure to ask for the source file, which means either Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever software they use to create the design. You always want to have a source file. Okay, that's it. That's what I want
perfect.
to add.
Yeah, no, great. Okay, so, and you can see this person is listed source file so that in the future, if someone knows Photoshop and you ask them to change your logo size or, make you a Facebook graphic or whatever, you have the source file to give them. And you guys are going to be really organized with all this stuff when you get it. You're going to have your folder and your source files and all that and your logo and all that kind of stuff. So you can come down here, you can look at their package, their basic package, their standard. I'd probably pay $20 over $5. I'd want the source, for $5, you don't get the source file. You don't get the social media kit. So it's absolutely worth paying $20 for. So what I would do with something like this, you can flip through, you can see his other logos that he's done for other people. Now you guys, I know sometimes, people have no idea what they want. They're just like, I have no idea. And some people love this stuff. They're like, oh my God, I've already designed the logo in my head. So regardless of if you've already designed it and have a really good idea, explain it well. Use a video, use graphics, and explain it well. If you have no idea what you want, have your business name and I would definitely incorporate whatever website name. I would do 2 versions of this. So like ours, we have face yoga, but we have our logo is the woman looking up. It's her profile. But we also got a version of that with her incorporating it that says faceyogamethod.com, because having your URL, your domain name incorporated into your logo is very important. And you're going to want to use that in some places. So have one where it is like, I think this beer goggles one, let me just see. Where are you? No, okay, they didn't do, okay, I haven't seen one of these people with their, but what you could do, like, let's say that this was your logo, monkey fish or something, you could have right underneath it. And oftentimes the vendor will do this for you. You're like, can you send me 2 versions? I want this one, and then I want one that says monkeyfish.com. So I would get the 2 versions. I don't think that most people will do that for you without charging you anything extra. That's not a big deal. So go through here, and this is fun part. A lot of people love this part. Go through here, search, have some fun with it. Finding someone who could do a logo for you. And find logos that you like. And if you guys have, if you're thinking of a logo and you're not really sure if you like it or you want to change something, put it up in the group, put it up in the Facebook group and get feedback from not only your fellow students, but from us as well. That's why we're here. So that's what I have to say about logos. So let's go back to, I have a slide on here on the pages that is, okay, so we talked about this. Let's go back to, where's my slides? Okay, this is what I want to talk about. We talked about the logo. I'm gonna, before we go into the necessary pages for your website, I want to talk about just really quickly a designer versus a web developer, because I see this, I used to see this happen all the time when I was consulting. These days it doesn't happen as much because you can use things like Squarespace and you can tell the developer. The developer is the person who codes it, who puts it together. For the most part, developers, they are not designers. But now that there's all these things like Squarespace and Wix with pre-made templates, these developers can kind of become both at once. But if you want a super fancy designed website, which you guys can use templates, you don't need to go hire some high-end designer. Then you'd have to, most people would then separately hire a designer, have the designer make JPEGs or Photoshop mock-ups of what the site should look like, and then they would give it to the developer. And oftentimes the developer would have to go in and hand code it and all that kind of stuff. I don't recommend that. You guys are just primarily, if you know what you want and you can pick a theme or a template from WordPress or Squarespace or Wix, all you have to do is tell your developer that you're going to get from Fiverr or whoever you're working with, just customize it to look like this. But I just want you to know the difference between those two things, because they're very, very, very different. And most developers are not designers. They don't necessarily have a good design sense. And that is why I want you to be able to tell them, the person who customizes your site, exactly what you want. Okay, so we talked about your logo. Get that done, because your logo is going to have certain colors in it. And those colors are probably what is going to inform the rest of the design of your site, like the, maybe the sidebar or the font color or whatever. It will give you those accent colors for your site. So get that done first, because you want to know how that's going to look in it. And then these pages. Now, oh gosh, what did I just do? Hold on. Where's my pages? Okay, so I'm going to talk about the necessary pages that I see you guys having for your site to start out with. And I want you to write these down, and then to also, we'll talk about the content that you should prepare for each page, because you're going to need to tell your web developer this stuff. They can't make up your pages. So there's always going to be your home page. That's right here. Let's talk about that. Your homepage is going to basically have hopefully a picture and a description of what you do. You immediately want to talk on your homepage about the benefits. It doesn't have to be super long, doesn't have to be super fancy. But if someone comes to your website, it needs to pass the 5-second rule, meaning you've got about 5 seconds or less to get them to stay there. And we're going to talk about that more in another webinar. Well, let's just start with this right now. So your homepage definitely wants to present a benefit to the reader, because everybody is going to websites to get something for themselves. So if you can immediately present a benefit to them, then you're going to catch their attention. So you're going to present what your site's about. Of course, what it's about is key, and then the benefit of what it's about. And then an email capture, which we're going to go. Email marketing is a whole other game, and you guys, yours is going to be fairly simple. And we have made a bunch of swipe files for you for that. So we'll get into that in another webinar, but it's very exciting because we've pretty much written these emails for you. We hired our copywriter that we worked with all the time. So we've got tons of templates that you can use to approach people, to go out to and market your business. But we're not at that point yet. But what's going to happen is you're going to also have an email capture page for people that come to your website, that you're going to maybe offer them the first class for free, or a discount on the first class, or whatever it is. And you're going to get their email in return for that. So we're going to talk about that in another webinar. But that element is going to be on the homepage of your website. So that's what your homepage should have. Then you're going to have an about page that's just going to have a nice photo of you. Definitely put your photo. And it's what I like for about pages are something that don't make it sound corporate. This is my personal preference, and especially considering the business that you're going to be doing. You can even tell your story. People love stories. And if you've got a good face yoga story to incorporate into there, I used to not feel so good about myself, et cetera, after practicing for a couple years, people notice, whatever it is, put your personal story there and write about it from your heart, and you're right, people will be attracted to it and they'll connect to it. Contact page, super, super simple. Any web developer can do that for you. It's no problem. All they need is your email and they'll put up a little contact form for you. That one is very easy. So I would have an about page. Let's just say you put your photo and personal story. Your contact page is really just going to be a form. You don't have to worry about that page. That's going to be done by your web person. Home, we went over that. Okay, services offered. Okay, these are, as you start to grow out your business, well, this one you are going to want right away. So services offered and description of them. So let's say you're going to do a face yoga workshop or sometimes you do workshops that are weekend workshops. You don't even have to put the dates, but you could be like, these are my offerings. I do one-on-one classes. I do community center classes. I do Skype one-on-ones. I do weekend workshops that are 8 hours or 5 hours each day, Saturday and Sunday, whatever they are. I would bullet point those offerings in there and put your services in a very easy, digestible way. Don't put this big, long page that looks like a novel. Break them down into little bite-sized chunks so the person can say, oh, look, community center classes. Oh, look, one-on-one. And they're drawn to what they want. So sort of like mini headlines and then underneath description. So you should write up your services. And even if you're only starting with 1 or 2, that's fine. But just write them up on a Word doc so you have them, because that's the kind of thing you're going to want to send your web developer when they make that page. And they're probably in the navigation bar. You could call that services or services offered. Your navigation bar names are going to be up to you, but about and contact are pretty standard. Home, I'd probably do services. Then if you're somebody, let's say you get to the point, which you certainly could, where you are working with a local gym or local community center or whatever it is, and you have a schedule where they're like, okay, every Saturday you're going to come in and teach a class. You could have a calendar of events on your web. Once again, super easy for your web person to put in there. And then you're like, okay, just put on every Saturday at 10 that I'm doing face yoga at the local community center. So you may or may not want to add that yet. That's something definitely to put on your list of maybes. If you have testimonials, and I know that you will not first starting out. So a couple things here. One is we had suggested, or we do suggest, that you all start out this whole journey with a buddy, meaning someone who is a friend of yours that you can count on, that is interested and supportive of what you're doing, that you can teach your face yoga to. So you can teach them along the way. This whole time you're learning from Fumiko and getting certified, you can use that person to learn from you and take before after pictures. And you could use them as your first one-on-one testimonial after a certain period of time. But we are also going to give you a swipe file. And the only thing that we require with this, a swipe file basically means that you're swiping copy your photos from somebody else. So we're going to give you a swipe file of photos of before and afters of real face yoga practitioners that have had success with Fumiko. The only thing that we ask is when you put it on your testimonial page that you be very clear that, because we always want to be transparent, that these are people taught under Fumiko that were taught the face yoga method and these were their results. Just don't say that you were their teacher, because everyone's going to see through that and it just looks dishonest. But it is not dishonest to have them on your testimonial page as actual face yoga practitioners that got results. So we'll have a swipe file for that. So you could also put those pictures up there. And then as you build your own success stories, which I know you will, and we're so excited to hear about them, you can start putting those up there for people that are comfortable. And as you know, some people are not comfortable with their pictures out in public, and that is a-okay. But the ones that allow you to do it, then definitely do it. So testimonial page. And then if you want to, I think you guys have enough on your plate right now, but some people are real go-getters and love this kind of stuff. Every single one of these sites that we talked about, from WordPress to Wix to Squarespace, they all have a blogging capability. So you could write about your journey with face yoga. You could, whatever you want to write about. You could write about results. You could write about doing it with your friend. And some people just enjoy that as a therapeutic thing and to give information. And so you could definitely add a blog page to your website. So these are the necessary pages. You don't have to start with every single one there. You know, you don't have to start with the blog. You don't have to start with the calendar, but you pick, I think these are the basics though, for you to pick from. And how many do we have there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm sure you're not going to start with all 7, but when you talk to some of these people on Fiverr and they say, you know, I'll do a 5-page website for you for $100. And you're like, oh my God, look, I have 7 pages. Will they do 7 pages? Don't freak out about this. This is super simple. A contact form is going to take them probably less than 5 minutes to put on your site. So you could, if you decide you want to start with all 7 of these, just ask them when you make them the videos. Say, these are the pages I want to start with. You know, I want to make sure I have all my content ready. I want to make sure that these are available. That you can do this in this package that I'm going to buy from you. Super simple. So get this content together before you start your project, before you hire the person on Fiverr. Get this together. Get your photos together. And, you know, in this day and age, you guys can easily have one of your friends take a nice photo of you. If you don't have headshots, that's okay. You can still get a really nice, clean face shot, headshot taken by one of your friends with an iPhone. There's such high resolution on these now. Just do good lighting and just a nice shot of your face smiling. And then if you want to get some other lifestyle shots on your website too, I think that's always super important. And if you want to use stock photos, we recommend a site called Deposit Photos. Let me just see if I can write this in here. And once again, we're going to give you the links for everything that we recommend, from Namecheap to HostGator to Fiverr, everything like that. We're going to put all these links in a list for you guys and send it out to you. So don't worry if you don't remember all this. Deposit Photos is just a site where you can buy very inexpensively stock photos. And on the subject of photos, one thing, word of warning, do not swipe files from Google. Don't do a search for Google and then put those photos up on your website. Do not do that. Not only is it stealing, but you can get slammed for that. You might think, oh, I'm such a small website, no one will care about this. They do care. So I've heard horror stories of people getting major lawsuits, and they're like the littlest blogger ever because they used a photo without permission. So please either only use your own photos. Our swipe file photos, we give you full permission, or buy a stock photo. The Deposit Photos, you can get them for so inexpensive, or look for free stock photos. You can definitely do that as well. Okay, so that was a lot today, you guys. So what I want to do now, unless Bianca, you want to add anything to what I just said, is I want to see if you guys have any questions regarding everything. And if your head is spinning, don't worry. We're going to answer everything in the Facebook group and as time goes on. But what I would like you guys to think about is, you know, take all this information in, and until we do our next webinar, which will probably, depending upon, I'm going to gauge where you guys are, it'll probably be next week. Start thinking, okay, what platform do I want to use? Start looking at people to make you a logo, probably get a logo made. Start looking at someone who could make this platform. It really doesn't have to be time consuming or overwhelming. Probably the most time consuming thing that you guys have to do for this webinar module is to put together your assets for your website, which means to write out your descriptions and to get your photos together. That's the most time consuming thing. Finding an outsourcer and picking a platform should not be time consuming. I've given you enough information that it should bring your decision down to less than a minute. So let's go in with questions. Okay, so I see the first one. My son has created his own website for his business and has offered to do it for me. He used Squarespace. Perfect. Perfect. Yes. Let him do it for you. Absolutely. If you have somebody like that. Let's see. Speaking of logos, will we be able to use Face Yoga Method along with our own? Okay. That's a good question. You can't use our logo on your website. We do not want confusion there. But what you can do, and once you guys, this is once you're certified, once you guys are certified and you've gone through your test with Fumiko, we're going to have you on our website as well. We're going to have a list of certified teachers in local areas. And we're going to say where, you know, the area that you're in and tell who you are and that you're certified by Fumiko. What you can do when you're certified, and we'll send out a badge for that, Bianca will create that file, is we'll give you something with our logo, that a graphic that says that you're certified by the Face Yoga Method. And you could use that on your business collateral, but only that. So please be clear if you have any questions on that. And we haven't sent that out yet because nobody's certified yet. So when you're certified, you will get that logo to be able to use on your website, but it's not your website logo. It's a graphic that you're going to put on your about page that shows you're certified by us. So I hope that's clear on there. Okay, so let's see if anybody has any other questions. We'll talk about business cards and other stuff further along the line. I know this was a lot, so if you guys have any questions, you can ask them now while we're here live. If you don't, you can, your head might be swimming, I don't know. We can definitely take care of you in the Facebook group. And I'm happy to send out with the email that we're going to do as a follow-up to this. I will send these slides for anybody that wants them. And you're going to get a whole reload of this marketing module in the in your marketing module site in the website. And you're also going to get links to everything. So just know that everything's going to be there. So if you guys are interested, if anybody thinks they might want to go the WordPress way and you want to know, oh, how would I get WordPress set up, or how would I get the hosting set up and put WordPress on it? Let me know right now, because if I have enough people that say, yeah, I'm interested in that or whatever, I'll have Bianca make you guys a little video just showing how to do that. And it's like a follow along video. Or maybe you're like, no, I just want to outsource this all. Because, you know, I say why. I'm a huge fan of outsourcing. Your job is to teach face yoga, not to try to be the tech person on your site. So personally, I would outsource it, but it's up to you. Okay, so let me see. Bianca, do we have any other questions? Okay, we're not getting a ton of questions right now, which I don't know if that's good or bad. Bianca, did you want to add something?
No, I'm good. I mean, you know, we've been at it for an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah,
I imagine.
yeah. Maybe your heads are spinning.
Moko says she's interested in the WordPress training. Christine says she would be interested as well, so that's good. We have 2 people that signed up.
Okay, that's great. No, so we can get you taken care of for sure. So you guys, this is a journey. This is step 1. Everything, it starts to get funner along the way. This is a lot, I know, this first time, but it's all bite-sizable, and we're here to support you. Bianca, were you going to say something?
Denise asked if we could make a video on how to make our own email address from our domain name. Yes, how to make their own email address. Depends on hosting, so we're probably going to talk about hosting first, and then go into creating an email address.
Oh, the email address. Got it. Yes, the email address does depend on hosting, and where you bought your domain name. If you buy it through Squarespace, they're going to try to sell you something different, and that's a little bit trickier. So yes, that's a really good question. So it really depends on your hosting. So please ask that in Facebook once you have your platform decided. What was I going to say on this? That you can often ask your developer, if you find a great developer you like working with on Fiverr, you can tell them, look, can you set up the emails for this for me? And often they will do it. They're going to have access to some of your information. So make sure you have LastPass set up to give them that access. So unless anybody else has any questions, we're going to wrap this one up. You guys have been here for you know, over an hour and a half, which is fantastic. You stuck with it. Super excited to keep on moving in this journey and to see all of your websites as they get built. And we're happy to give feedback. So just put that in Facebook. So if I don't see any more questions, we're going to end module 1 unless you have anything to say, Bianca.
No, I'm looking at the questions and they stop coming in. So I'm assuming all is clear.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will see you in the Facebook group and on the next webinar. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.